when we launched Readymag, people started to create like websites and presentations and basically everything that you can create in Photoshop or in any tool where you have a blank canvas and where you can freely move objects around. So that was a huge realization for us that, okay, then it's less about digital magazines and it's more about web publications, and it can be anything from photo album to website to digital magazine. Something that is alive, but at the same time it has a feeling of completeness, of wholeness. This is what I always find beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
The beautiful things.
Beautiful. He's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Very beautiful. Really beautifully.
Beautiful.
Got the most kind of beautiful.
Beautifully designed.
Beautiful.
It's the beauty.
Beautiful. The beauty. It's
Beautifully designed.
Beautiful.
Extraordinarily, achingly beautiful.
Hey everyone, today is another beautiful day, and with me I have Anton. He right now is independent designer who has his own studio experimenting with products. Before that, he was co-founder of Readymag, early designer in Pinterest, and from everything I see, he's one of the coolest visual designers I had the chance to touch to. So yeah, we're gonna have a conversation about tools, about his design journey, and how it's evolving with AI, with CloudBot, with Code, and where are we heading. So Anton, thanks for taking the time, and would be happy to have this conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Vlad, for having me.
My first question is how you ended up in the design space, and like why you decided to pursue design in the first place.
I don't think it was a conscious decision or a strategic decision, because my father, he's an engineer, and in the 90s he worked at the radio factory in our city in Ukraine. So I was growing up with all the different tools and computers around the house. So I think since 3 years old, I was playing with those toys, and eventually this led me to pursuing development and then design. So I think I made my first money with design when I was 12, and since then I was doing web design and then later graphic design and then product design. So this was all thanks to my dad. So yeah, I'm super grateful for him to introduce my brother and I to computers so early on.
Do you remember what was your first gig for the design?
The first one actually was this was a contest for a banner. It was if you remember, there was like 100 by 100 pixels banners that you design, and this is how you used to promote websites on other websites. So this was the first gig that I did, and I think the reward was $50, which was huge amount for me back then.
Was it like 99 designs or like some platform like that?
No, I think it was I think it was an independent news website, and they just posted like a blog post for all the readers that if anyone wants to design a banner for the website, they're gonna.
Was it with Photoshop, with Illustrator?
It was Photoshop, yeah. I actually started, I think the first tool that I ever used, a graphical tool, was Xara. I don't know if you remember. It was Xara. Then I think from Xara I moved to Dreamweaver, which was more about the websites, and then all the graphics for the websites was done in Photoshop.
Like I recently saw a tweet that Dreamweaver was ahead of its time, because right now you have basically Dreamweaver inside Cursor, where you can select some of the stuff. Like in my last conversation, we also kind of circled back that a lot of these tools, they a little bit ahead of the time, but also not ahead of the time. But yeah.
Yeah, there was also front page from Microsoft, but Dreamweaver always felt, yeah, at least few steps ahead of the front page. I think it was called front page, Microsoft front page.
And like at what point you kind of fully narrowed into graphic design, into web and product design? Was it natural, or you were kind of doing everything at the same time?
I think it was a natural transition. I never focused 100% of just one field. So for me, I think like design was always about visual layer, and it doesn't really matter whether it is a website or I don't know, a product design like a mobile app or an ID for a company. Yeah, they all have this visual component. There's that was really important always for me. Yeah. So
I'm really curious how tools basically shaped persons and skills and taste in a lot of ways. And I'm wondering kind of what was your experience with Exa, with Photoshop, with Dreamweaver, and like, you know, as it evolved. Do you think it made you a better designer in the end? Like, where are you today, right now, that you kind of had to go from raster images, you know, where you painstakingly, you know, craft every pixel for overall image, or do you think that it was unnecessary? Yeah, like, what was kind of your relationship with tools, like as you were becoming more mature designer?
yeah, I think the tools really matter because I still remember the UI from Dreamweaver. I still remember the UI from front page. And even thinking right now, like I'm connecting it to Readymag, I feel like those tools were also about like Visivik editor. So what you see is what you get. I don't think I spent much time writing code, writing HTML with those tools as well. And this is why I feel the visual part. So basically, the result is more important than the code that is behind it. And I never saw a point in focusing on the code when uh, the final result is what you see and what other people see. So this is why like I'm one of the mantras behind Readymag was that you don't need ever to look at the code, and yeah, the tools should focus on the final result rather than the language that we invented to make those things happen.
Yeah, I remember when I opened Readymag for the first time, like it felt really different to other website builders and kind of this type of no-code tools, because I don't remember specifically what website builders are used, but they really kind of were code first. When I, as a designer, really struggled to, you know, with adjusting some of the things, and kind of the interface, it was built around the fact that it's code, and like you essentially build on top of that and like interact with the product through the interface, but kind of keeping in mind that it's code. And yeah, I remember like the first time I opened personally Readymag, it felt like something completely different. And yeah, I'm really curious, like since you already started talking about this, what was kind of the process when you were starting it, and kind of principles that you already mentioned that you wanted fully focus on visuals. What were the kind of the underlying principles when you were starting Readymag that you kind of wanted to put in it?
Yeah, I think a huge inspiration for Readymag was Adobe InDesign. Maybe not in the way of UI and how it looks and how it works, but that you can the interface that you interact with the page, basically you can place any element that you have in any place on the canvas. Right now, it's it sounds like a super simple and basic idea, but like in 2010, there were almost no tools that would allow you to interact with the page on the canvas. The field of graphic design, the field of editorial design was a huge inspiration for Readymag, but we wanted to keep the same logic, the same playfulness with interacting with the tools, but to allow you to create websites. So not something static, not like a magazine layout, but something that is alive. And this was another part. So with all the tools, and I think 2010 was the time when all the technologies like HTML5, like CSS3, JavaScript, they stopped being experimental. They were moving more into this phase that okay, now we can build more powerful tools and apps on the web. It shouldn't necessarily be a standalone app. So yeah, all those things coming together, I think this was the forming inspiration behind Readymag. And then yeah, I think I spent the next year from 2010 to 2011 just to exploring the UI, and I went through 3 different iterations. It started with something that looked almost the same as Adobe InDesign, with all the panels, all the tools visible all the time, and eventually it landed on just blank canvas with the tools appearing only when you need to see them. And I think this was a huge unlock for the UI, and this is where we decided, okay, now this worth to be built, and this is when we decided to start the company.
Nice. I saw the case studies that you put, like this first screenshots, and this evolution from kind of first iteration till the final iteration is like completely different products.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I'm big part of that is also visuals, like iconography, and how like Readymag looks really very, I don't know, like Readymag to me. Like I can't describe it in other word. Like very visually distinct, very bright colors, But a lot of things like they make sense when you use them. And I'm curious, what was kind of the main inspiration behind visual part and like this evolution that eventually led to the shape that it was, and that is like essentially is right now.
Yeah, I think it comes down as well to graphic design, to all the history of graphic design, because I was super interested back then in the editorial design as well. So I was buying all the magazines like Fantastic Man, like Gentlewoman, and like Face magazine. I think this desire to learn more about graphic design, and this was also a time when I wanted to become better with graphic design, and because of the Readymag, and because of this connection to editorial design, this was also a process of learning for myself as well. Through building this tool, I was also exploring this new field for me.
Like when you launched, do you remember? Like they're not building similar product, but it's also like a creative tool where you can see what other people create. And do you have some distinct memories when you saw people creating something that you were not even expecting possible?
Yeah, because when we were launching Readymag, we had this idea because back then, and maybe it was a mistake that I spent a year just designing the tool, and I wasn't showing it to anyone. But by the time we launched, our main idea was that this tool will be used for creating online magazines. So also it was like 2011 or 2010 when the first iPad was introduced, and we were thinking, okay, we're gonna create this tool that will allow you to create new kind of digital magazines that would feel more alive, and they're going to be accessible from the iPad, and this is new beautiful world where pages finally become alive. But then when we launched Readymag, people started to create like websites and presentations and basically everything that you can create in Photoshop or in other any tool where you have a blank canvas and where you can freely move objects around. So that was a huge realization for us that, okay, then it's less about digital magazines and it's more about web publications, and it can be anything from photo album to website to digital magazine. It doesn't really matter.
So you essentially had the pivot from like initial idea of web journals to like full-blown kind of web publishing platform.
Yeah, but I still think that that magazines and the aesthetic of editorial design played a huge role in promoting Readymag as well, because even after we realized that you can people create websites and other types of publications using Readymag, our main source of growth was showing people what you actually can create with Readymag, and we were focusing more on editorial content. So we were trying to show that you can you can create something that is as beautiful as magazine layouts, but with all the interactivity of the web. So you can make these beautiful pages feel more alive.
Was this around the time when flat design was becoming a thing?
I think so. I don't remember when the I think the first example of the flat design that I saw was on Nokia. If you remember, I forgot the name of the operating system that they announced with.
The Windows Phone or
I think it was the Windows Phone. Yeah.
okay. I remember a lot of kind of editorial thing coming up because there was shift towards kind of flat design when there was kind of more emphasis on the grid, on the typefaces, and essentially like removing all of the distractions from textures and so on. Once again, don't remember clearly that time, but I remember that there were kind of big push of like using the grid systems for web pages and like other stuff. So it's really cool that you were, I would say, like kind of also trendsetter from the tooling space of like what you can do on the web and like bringing those patterns to the tools.
Yeah, I think that was a result of all the things coming together. So without the technology that that we had back then, without us realizing that you can do with all those technologies, you can do more than just static pages. And our interest in graphic design, and it all came together and was realized in that product.
Do you have like one favorite thing that was created with Readymag?
One favorite thing. I really like the project that we put together. Back then, it was called Readymag Design School, and the main focus was to educate people about the fundamentals of graphic design. So things like color theory and grid, and this educational part of Readymag is really important. And the team still produces a lot of content that actually helps people to understand the beauty of graphic design, the beauty of and just like the basic principles, the fundamentals behind a great layout or a great design.
I think it's very important, like especially right now when there is kind of less standardized education, I would say. Like how, for example, you were learning about all of this stuff? Was it trial and error, or you were like researching kind of other products? I mean, editorial and overall like visuals.
Yeah, I think for me, yeah, I never went to a design school because we didn't have access to design schools back then when I was growing up. And I think for a lot of designers back then, the only way was to try and fail. When I was working on Readymag, I was just buying those magazines. I was measuring everything with the ruler, trying to understand the spacing, how everything fits together, and why the page feels uh, as good as this feel, because it's super hard to explain this in words. But when you look at the beautifully designed editorial piece, you can always feel that there's something right about this layout, these proportions. Yeah.
I don't know how it was for you, but for me, like this kind of feeling of rightness, like a lot of people have it, but like the hardest part is actually kind of putting it into something structured, like in your head, and like replicating it like on a constant basis.
Yeah, and I think I still yeah, I'm still trying to I'm going back and forth between two modes of design. The first one being when I create the grid and I place everything on the grid, and like all the spacing are calculated. But the second one is where you start without the grid and you try to trust your gut feeling. And even though the spacing is not like 20 pixels and it's like 22 or 23, but you learn to trust your feeling, and then maybe after like the first sketch, then you try to yeah, to connect everything to the grid. It also helps me because yeah, I'm sometimes I'm going too much in the first camp when I try to like do everything right. So this second approach helped me to feel more playful and to trust more.
Moving on from Readymag, like you spent part of your career in Pinterest, another kind of very visually distinct product that a lot of designers use as a holy grail for like inspiration for the layouts, kind of how things structured from the information perspective and from visual perspective. Can you tell how it was designing Pinterest and like essentially keeping up this level of craftsmanship? How did this transition went from like editorial web layouts to the kind of more productized thing?
I think it was similar at Pinterest as well, because it always starts with the founders, and I feel like both Ben and Evan, uh, it was really important for them as well. And this is with Evan especially because uh, he I think he has a degree in architecture, and the design team that was there, you can feel that those principles of beauty are really important. So I didn't feel myself like being in a completely different environment when joining Pinterest.
Mm-hmm. And like I'm curious, like how you can keep up this kind of high bar of quality. Is it because of the team and you kind of have, as you mentioned, like founders who set this high bar from the beginning, like countless revisions? Yeah, like what is Krusty Krab's secret sauce?
I think yeah, the principles that you put together when you start, and then people you hire. Sometimes you have to fight for this craftsmanship. And if you see that it doesn't work, I think you should leave and find another company that is better suited for your beliefs and for your values. But yeah, with Pinterest, I always had this feeling that it's a design-led company, and the team that was there, working with people there was felt really fun.
What is design first company like from your perspective?
I think there was a big emphasis on design reviews. A lot of projects started from a design exploration. So we had a small lab with 4 to 5 designers that were having like short sprints in the workshop, just imagining what the future products or the future of Pinterest can be. And then based on those explorations, then we were trying to take parts of them and implement or like show them to the rest of the company. So this was just one of the processes that we had in Pinterest. Yeah.
And coming back to, you already kind of listed first principles when you were starting Readymag. When you joined Pinterest, what were kind of voiced or not voiced principles that you work as a design team and as a product that the whole team had? Do you remember this?
Yeah, I think the main principle behind all the design work as well was this idea how a person should feel when using Pinterest. Because I still believe Pinterest is one of the few companies that focus on the well-being of their users. Yeah, maybe yeah. Then it was even more strong, like this vision, and this is what differentiates Pinterest from all other platforms.
Yeah, like from a perspective of a user, like you can definitely feel this aspect of, you know, not being pushed into, you know, like it's still a social network. You can engage with people, you can find something that you like, but you're not kind of forced pushed into brain rot commenting and, you know, engaging in a lot of kind of gray UX behaviors that other platforms force you to. And because of that, like it, at least for me personally, it has this feeling of, you know, kind of not feeling even, but expectation that, you know, I can come and it's kind of a safe place to see something visually and get into zone of like exploring and finding stuff. So yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, like I have a quote that Pinterest calls itself last positive place online, and there is a big part of that, I think, coming from design itself. Yeah, though I remember I had the chance to see kind of their growth strategy in Reforge course, and a lot of those human-centered things that you talked about kind of on the design side, they somehow went into the other parts like growth and, you know, like focusing on specific user persona of like housewife and, you know, growing through not housewife, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And do you have you thought like what draws you to this type of products and tools when it's, because Pinterest, Readymag, all of them kind of about creativity, about exploration, like trying to, you know, curate a taste. Like what draws you in this type of products?
I think it's because of those kind of tools. When I was talking about my childhood, maybe those kind of tools were my toys back then, and this is why I feel I find most joy right now creating the same tools as well. But but also I feel like in general, self-expression and creativity is one of the main meanings in life, and this is how a person also learns about themselves and how we all evolve through this like creative process. And yeah, it feels uh, there are very few feelings I think that I can compare to a feeling of creating something and then sharing it with other people. I find, yeah, big joy in working on those tools.
Do you get a similar feeling from vibe coding? Because we talked about Cloud Code before the record, and yeah, you seem like a big fan right now of
I still, it's a little bit different process because with tools like Figma and with tools like Photoshop, and I remember when I was using Photoshop, like back in school, when you are designing an icon, there is, let's say, 16 by 16 pixels, and you spend like a few hours designing that icon, just moving pixels and like making sure that looking from the distance, the icon will convey the meaning that you put in it. And that process is really is for me is similar to a meditation, and it has a lot of value. This is why with all the AI tools right now, I don't think they gonna it's either or. I think both design processes will have their value in the future. There is a time when you need a quick fix, and you can unload everything to AI, and it's gonna make everything happen in a few minutes. But there is also a huge value in spending hours in Figma, exploring different directions and staying in this exploration phase where new questions can be born and new solutions. So I definitely see value in this process as well.
Mhm. I think what vibe coding and in general AI tools still didn't capture from kind of established and not legacy, but like established like way of working is this kind of way of branching and being able to kind of free flow explore stuff. I don't know, for a few hours, like not in a linear fashion. And I think that's like if we somehow can combine two of those, like it could be like a powerful thing, because like you said, like this I personally also have this feeling, when I kind of in free flow mode, when you like it's like not driving a car, but like something similar where you like your part of your brain is thinking, but another part of the brain is like more coming from the intuition perspective, and like you just kind of like branching out and coming back. And yeah, I think that's like one of the big parts that, at least for me, like AI tools still have not replicated and like excelled at. But yeah.
Yeah, I think this fun that you have in the process itself should always be there, because this is how you can stumble upon new idea or a new question. It's not always about the fastest way you can get from point A to point B. And I agree that yeah, what is happening right now with all the tools, it's super inspiring and super interesting to play with it and figure out the way that we'll combine both these approaches. Yeah.
Do you think we might have an epidemic of people without taste because of AI?
I think more people will be able to to create things and to build things and to ship things. And maybe because of this, the question of taste and beauty will be even more important. Yeah, this is where it's because it feels like with these new tools, the AI will manage like 80% of the work, but still, what defines the product, what defines the result is like the first 10% of the work. So your inputs, because everything that you're gonna see as a output is influenced by what you put inside of the model. And then the last 10% at the end, what you will decide to do with the output, where you're gonna direct the model next. So I feel like, yeah, taste and this sense of beauty and your own personal knowledge about yourself, about the world, about things you like, will become even more important if you want to create something meaningful and not some generic piece of, yeah.
Yeah, like both kind of from technical perspective, what you input and prompt directly influences what you get. But I think like in kind of broader design process, kind of the better question you ask yourself like during the design process, the better design is. And yeah, I remember like what struck for me when I talked with cool designers, it's like that I perceived like as really cool, like in the work environment is kind of the question that they ask. And like question is like a prompt, and it's kind of 99% of the work, like getting to this question. Like it can't be something that can't be generated, for now. So
Yeah, and because it's so easy right now to offload those things to AI, then I think we need to be more and more cautious about what we actually unload and what we still want to keep for ourselves. So maybe not to make AI think more for yourself, but yeah, help you think better and maybe asking you more questions than you asking it to give you answers.
yeah, how do you think people, with it's easier, but you already also answered this, like, the more people can create something, the more they can ship something, and on a bigger sample, the more questions, the more people will ask questions. Okay, like what makes this good, what makes this bad, and kind of start this rabbit hole of exploring and like diving deeper into things. So, but still, like if you were like in this 2026 world, like if you were starting and like wanted to develop a taste and kind of your own unique, distinct style, taste, understanding of beauty, like what would you do? Would you do the same things today that you, for example, like did back then, like looking through journals and just trying things out, or what do you think people should do today?
I think yeah, studying things that people put a lot of care into, and that survive through time. It's really important because those things tell you about the communal taste that we have, and the things that are not fleeting, which is why I find sometimes I find myself going too much into this AI news flow, and then I start to feel like really really lost in this process, because when you put both feet into this flow, you start to feel overwhelmed with the speed of change in this field. So I always find it helpful to keep one leg in the timeless. And yeah, I feel like going to museums, reading books, and just finding inspiration around you, especially right now with AI, when you can generate everything in a second and everything is online. Just noticing things that capture your attention in real world and creating from those inputs can be a really fun and interesting exercise as well as a design exercise, like what you can create based on the inputs that you have around you. So maybe focusing more on the inputs from like Pinterest and Instagram and other places, but what captures your attention here and now will be, yeah, really great exercise to do.
That's the last frontier that AI still hasn't. It's getting there, but hasn't captured.
Yeah, but also I feel like yeah, this theme of human experience, and each of us has a uniquely different human experience, and being able to recognize it and to create from that space. I feel like, yeah, this is where really powerful things might come from. Yeah. And then if you spend time and if you invest your attention into mastery of your field, then when you combine those two, this is magic.
I have a last final question that we ask everyone here. And what do you consider beautiful?
I think something that has something that is alive, but at the same time it has a feeling of completeness, of wholeness. This is what I always find beautiful. So there's nothing you can add or remove from it. It feels complete, but at the same time, it feels also very much alive.
Beautiful, very beautiful answer. Cool, Anton. That was beautiful answers, beautiful conversation, and yeah, I personally had a lot of fun.
Me too.
Yeah, and thanks for taking the time, and yeah, happy to have you on.
Yeah, thank you, Vlad.